everybody, and welcome to the 2009 SCCA Pro Racing Speed World Challenge Championship. It's the opening round of Touring Car and GT presented by Toyo Tires. I'm Greg Creamer, and it's been a bit of a tradition in its 20 years, especially as of late, for the championship to start at a legendary venue, Sebring International Raceway. Joining me, Tom Natchew. And Tom, not only that, but great manufacturers in these two different classes. Awesome stuff.
There's been as many as 15 manufacturers involved in Speed World Challenge over the years. This year is no different. And as you say, traditionally starting at this great facility at Sebring International Raceway. Sebring International Raceway, known for its bumps and known for a very long lap, 17 turns. And here in the Pirelli World gear wrench car, we get kind of a high-speed tour of the track. Greg, coming down to the hairpin, one of the great passing zones.
Well, it truly is. Heavy braking, one of the fastest points of the track. Then into a couple of quick left-right combinations that takes you up into one of the very famous parts of this facility and up toward the famous tower turn.
Coming through here, we're coming to a section that's almost as fast as the back straightaway. There's a great passing zone. As we come down into this rhythm section, this gets set up for the most important turn on the course. That's the one that comes onto this legendary long back straightaway. Down the back straightaway, you can see you go all the way up through the gears, the touring cars and the GT cars going as fast as they can, and then the legendary turn number 17, known for its bumps, Greg Creamer.
Sunset Bend, you come out of this, you've got to get a good drive here as well, because it takes you to the start-finish straight and an opportunity to maybe make a pass down to the first turn. And it is time for us to get to touring cars, and this is going to be a great season of racing. A lot of developments as we take a look at the grid, and the big story there, Pierre Kleinubing breaking his own record, 35th career pole.
It's a reprise of last year where we've got the battles between the Acuras and the Mazdas for the manufacturers' points. Naturally, the Pirelli World gear wrench guys are here, and a brand new entry from Phoenix Racing, a brand new Subaru WRX.
And that means we're going to have some tremendous racing as this season unfolds, and it's just about to get underway here at Sebring International Raceway. One of the exciting things of World Challenge Racing is the standing start, and we'll be back with it. Welcome back to Sebring in the 2009 Speed World Challenge season about to get underway. Standing start, and there it is, lights out, we are green, and a huge move by Aquilani in the Subaru. But also a great start from the outside of the front row. Seth Thomas using the rear-wheel drive of that BMW. The weight transfers back, and did he read that beautifully? Kleinubing, not the greatest of starts. Jason Saney trucked in an outside line trying to sweep around Kuno Whitmer. And Whitmer covered nicely as they head into turn 3. So it is Thomas in front, then Kleinubing. Then it is Kuno Whitmer. Right behind him is Jason Saney, but a good, solid start by Aquilani in the Subaru, that all-wheel drive, getting him motoring forward very smartly as well. Here comes the rest of the pack as they head down to the hairpin, but wasting no time at all. Seth Thomas building the lead. Petey Cunningham is in the 2009. It's a new rules package for the new cars that are running to that package, and Saney locking up the brakes, Tom.
Jason Saney, very ambitious in the start, trying to get around these Acuras, trying to do it early, because if you don't do it early, you're going to have a hard time once they get settled into the race pace. Right behind Saney, Chip Herr. Those guys only arrived 2 days before the race, didn't realize if they were going to have a program or not. There's a shot of Pierre Kleinubing at work. So many people come out just to watch Pierre Kleinubing in a touring car.
It's pretty amazing, 12 years with the same team. How often can you say that about anybody in motorsports, let alone at this level? And unfortunately, problems right here. One of the tri-point Mazdas, that's Charles Espinal, one of the fastest drivers in the series, but having a major problem and falling back in fairly large chunks. Meanwhile, back up into turn 1, completing the first lap. Thomas continues to lead. He's a driver with a lot of experience here, even going back to BMW club racing days, but has never been able to pull off the win here. He's often been extremely quick. Going back in the pack just a little bit, Tom, there's a look at Petey Cunningham with that new spec Acura, but right behind him, I think a great story, young driver by the name of Eric Foss, another of those Mazda development drivers, as we watch Seth Thomas continuing to stretch his margin.
Well, we've got two of those Mazda development drivers involved here. Jason Saney won the MX-5 Cup 2 years ago, earned his ride in the touring car with the factory team, the Tri-Point team. Eric Foss did exactly the same thing to earn his ride in touring car in the number 75 car, and the coincidence is they both did it in one of Jason Saney's own cars that he runs in that MX-5 Cup. That's why Mazda is so important in this championship. Their ladder system, Greg, it's one of the best in the business.
Well, and Foss has some shoes to fill, doesn't he? Because Saney came in and last year got a win and a pole in his first season, won Rookie of the Year. That's some pretty big shoes. But Certainly Foss is a capable driver, but look at this battle we're watching right here. Andrew Aquilani is being hounded by the 34, the Birmerwell Gear-Wrench team driver, Nick Asayan. And Nick really started to hit his stride with these BMWs at the end of last season, and he takes a look again. Not quite enough, maybe just trying to rattle Aquilani, and somebody locked up pretty good deep into turn 17 as we come through and head onto the front straight. Aquilani hanging on.
That's Subaru, just a very impressive performance in practice and qualifying. You can see that it's an all-wheel drive car. Gets a great drive off the corner, and he's running a tighter line than that BMW that's following him. Andrew Aquilani finding his way in touring car for the first time, but Greg, he looks like he belongs here.
Well, he's got a tremendous amount of experience, a former SCCA national runoffs champion, 3-time pole winner at the runoffs. This kid can drive, even though he's young. He's got a lot more experience than those young years might suggest, and you can see right now he is doing a superb job. The problem for him is up in front. You can see the 97 there of Chip Herr is starting to ease away just a little bit, and a big move. James Clay down the inside, and oh, that just got into the back of P.D. Cunningham.
And again, and again. And a third time into the back of P.D. Cunningham. James Clay looks like he's just a little bit circumspect about that, but what a great move by James Clay. He actually made up a position, and that's what this is all about.
And P.D. Cunningham giving him the friendly wave, going, you know what, I'll find you later in the season, bud. But that's just some tremendously close racing, and at this level, and this is one of the things why P.D. Cunningham is here with that new car, is to find out exactly where it's going to run, what they need to work on the car. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit bulkier, it's a little bit less high-tech, and talk about having one of the best in the business doing the R&D on it.
Greg, it's all about cost containment. This car very close to a showroom stock car in that it's got the stock pickup points on the suspension.
And as we watch Seth Thomas build his lead, Chip Herr, you talked a little bit earlier, Tom, about the fact that they were pretty late arriving with that team. Let's hear from Chip.
2008 was a great year for me in Tyndall Motorsport. I got to thank Mazda for that. My Mazda 6 was fantastic. 2009 is going to start off right. We're down here, we're at Sebring, and I'm just happy to be here with my name on a car. And with a sport, a sun drop, Mazda, Tyndall Motorsports, what's better than that? So the cars show up here after the test day and after the promoter test day. We go into the last practice session, do 5 laps. Car feels fantastic. We made changes, went into qualifying. Car feels great. We made some more changes, and the car's going to be absolutely perfect for the race. I feel really good about it.
Well, if ever a team can come back from a late start like that, it's Tyndall Motorsports. Great team members, but also the drivers. You got a 5-time champion in Michael Galati, and also I think one of the hungriest drivers going in Chip Herr.
And there's a shot of the in-car camera from Nick Asayan as he gets by that number 35 car. Something not quite right in that 35 car. A lot of black smoke coming out of it, and Nick Asayan absolutely set sail. There's a problem with Andrew Aqualante's Subaru.
Well, we'll certainly follow that as we take a look at the leaderboard. 4 of 18 laps complete. Seth Thomas leading in the BMW, Kleinubing in the Acura, Whitmer in the Acura, Chip Herr in the Mazda, Saney in the Mazda. So a great mix of manufacturers, and that, folks, is a hallmark of Speed World Challenge. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, opening round of the 2009 Speed World Challenge. This is touring cars presented by Toyo Tires. And some great battling going on throughout the pack, and a big move right there down the inside. I believe that was Galati trying to get down and underneath P.D. Cunningham, and P.D. Cunningham having absolutely none of it. But notice the front of P.D.'s car, Tom. Looks like, yes, indeed, a little bit of damage. Didn't exactly see what happened, but this battle between he and Galati, you've got to think that maybe the two of them have had a little bit of a touch.
Well, this is just the latest stage of a battle that's really been going on for 15 years.
Battle for 10th, and as you said, Tom, between two of the greats, absolutely. But P.D. Cunningham, look at him swing to the outside, trying to set up Galati for a drive off of the hairpin. Galati did run a little wide, not quite enough, and P.D. tucks right back in. But these two, both 5-time champions, going at it. Just some incredible racing here. And you have to wonder, as we go back a little bit further to the front, and there it is, still the smoke coming from the back of Aquilani's Subaru. That car's still struggling just a little bit, and has fallen adrift right there of the number 75 of Foss.
Eric Foss able to get by, but I think that Eric Foss was given that. Something there. You see something wrong with that Subaru. It looks like it might have ingested a little bit of oil. Sometimes you overfill these things and bad things happen, and then there's a really bad thing happening right now.
Huge plume of smoke, and that is one of the Tyndall Mazdas has pulled off to the side. That is a bad, bad sign.
Chip Herr was very racy, got himself all the way to 4th place, and he'll be reporting to the pits. This one is going to end in tears.
unfortunate for the young up-and-comer. Never has won a championship, but everybody will tell you he's one of the absolute fastest in the business. His time is due, and it will happen for sure. Meanwhile, Seth Thomas, you think about Seth Thomas at Sebring, as we see Chip in the pits, already out of the car. That is a tough break, but Seth Thomas, we've talked about it. He's been so fast, he's led, and just hasn't been able to get the win at Sebring or anywhere else for that matter. He's still looking for that first win. I know it'd be special for him to get it right here at Sebring. And Aquilani in the Subaru, still a little bit of smoke. That car is still struggling as he drops back. Oh, big move here in the battle for sixth. The 75 of Foss ducks down underneath James Clay and picks that spot up. And Clay, all four wheels in the dirt, and they hit Tom.
Side by side with four wheels in the dirt, James Clay does not want to let Eric Foss get by. However, Eric Foss earned this ride in the MX-5 Cup, and everybody knows those guys lean on each other a little bit, so this may not be all of that new to Eric Foss. Now James Clay able to get it done. He's through now. Eric Foss, Greg, still not done fighting.
Oh, he looks to the inside once again, puts a nose on him, now cuts to the left, but he's on the outside as they come up to the tower turn. You got to get this one right now. He's going to try the under-over move down to the inside. Let's see if he can get it done. Drag race down out of the tower turn into that quick left combination, and then into Jean de Bien Ben. He's got a nose ahead, but Clay's got the line. Both of them still side by side. Foss now to the inside. Watch for it on the brakes. Locks up that rear. He's through, but he floats wide. Here comes Clay. Oh, great action, and now through Jean de Bien Ben. And it looks like he's got it covered, but let's take a look, Tom, at the replay of that great pass and repass by Foss.
Okay, so James sees Foss get through, but gets a better drive off the corner. Now he runs out of road. No matter, I'll just drive through the dirt and lean on Eric until I get more road to run on. From here, they pretty much go side by side all the way to the beginning of the back straightaway.
Well, I think for Foss, it was a little case of learning the lesson of fast in, slow out sometimes, and aggression can hurt you just a little bit, but it sure is entertaining. And here they go now down into turn 17. And look at Clay, swings out a little bit wide, and that's one of those deals. You go in wide, you can kind of square it up just a little bit, maybe get the drive off. Let's see if he's able to do it. But that Mazda 6 looks like it was stuck pretty well, got a good drive out of that turn, and those Mazdas make pretty good power.
Seth Thomas all by himself at the front of this thing, been here from the pole, as he got a really good look inside the cockpit there. Seth Thomas so far got a couple of real-time guys to worry about. You've got to be thinking that Kleinubing right there is going to be thinking about a late race charge.
And for Kleinubing, the good news for him is he's been able to put a bit of a gap between he and his teammate, Kuno Whitmer, and so he's got a little bit of breathing room. He can concentrate more on that rear bumper of Thomas and try and run him down than worry about defending, and that's always a nice comfort level. Here comes Whitmer. Both he and Kleinubing, of course, still running the cars that were built more to the 08 and previous spec, a little bit more sorted, and obviously a little bit more aero efficient and the like. And then right there, the 74 Jason Saney. Boy, what a remarkable young talent he has evolved into. And speaking of great young talents, Kuno Whitmer, 3 wins last year, more than anybody else in the championship, and right in the hunt for that championship right to the end. But right now, he has got Jason Saney in terms of hunting right there and really hounding him. Jason Saney down into turn 17. Once again, Tom, a pole and a win at Miller Motorsports Park in Utah. Just some incredible stuff. And look at this right here. This is the battle for 11th.
Now, both of these guys are fresh to touring car. Toby Grahovic, he's been to the runoff several times, a champion in his own right. And of course, there is Jeff Courtney. He's been driving a Viper in the GT cars. Those guys having a great race at the back. And we pick up at the front again with Seth Thomas. And is it just me, Greg, or is Kleinubing just a little bit closer than he was one lap ago?
I think he has definitely reeled him in just a little bit. It's not huge, but there's still some racing yet to go, so he is starting to mount a classic Kleinubing charge and has closed it up. And then Kuno Whitmer right there in the third spot, Jason Saney in fourth, and Nick Asayan having a great race in the Bimmer World Gear Wrench BMW. We'll be back. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. Seth Thomas continues to lead Pierre Kleinubing for Charles Espinlaub. Problems continue, and for our defending and 5-time champ, P.D. Cunningham, he's not one to dwell on the past.
Yeah, after winning the championship last year, I'm looking forward to this year to try to defend the championship. I've never won with the number 1 on the car, but we're going to try to change that this year. We've got a new car in the brand new Acura TSX here, and we're going to give it our best shot. Sebring is a very challenging place. It's a very long track. It's very bumpy. but we've been coming here for many, many years. Sebring in March is always great. I mean, it's a perennial startup of the World Challenge season, so it's great to come here and get away from the Wisconsin cold and have a little summer here.
And Petey running a little bit further back in the pack than he's used to, but again, it's the development of that new car. Oh, and one of his other cars, Whitmer, who had been running so quick, has pulled off and parked it. And right now, Aquilani, Tom, all over the back of PD.
You know, I'm thinking sometimes they'll drink a little bit of extra oil in the crankcase and eventually move that through the tailpipe and get going again. Unless I miss my guess, that's exactly what's happening to Andrew Aquilani, looking awfully racy following Peter Cunningham. And if you're trying to find your way around Sebring, there's probably no better way to do it than to follow the wheel tracks of that driver, Peter Cunningham.
And as we watch Seth Thomas continuing to lead, it looks like he may have opened it up just a little bit over Kleinubing once again. I did notice, Tom, no smoke now coming from the back of that Subaru, so either that problem's cleared or the other side of the story is when it runs out of smoke, maybe it's running out of oil, so we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, Thomas continuing to hold margin up front, and it indeed does look like he's gapped Kleinubing once again. So maybe he was just sort of taking it easy, saving those Toyo tires.
It's a long lap around here, Greg, and he's getting constant radio communication, P1 plus, P1 minus, so he knows from the pits what he's got to do, and it looks like he's in complete enough control here so that he can turn up the wick when he has to. Meanwhile, Kleinubing's got no other choice but to set it for full charge and try to catch up to that BMW.
Well, the good news for Kleinubing, as I said, now even more of a gap with Whitmer out, and better news still as Jason Saney is now able to move up into a potential podium spot, and here we go. Aquilani takes the Subaru down underneath the Acura and picks up that 11th spot. So now we'll see just how much quicker. A little puff of smoke there, but nowhere near what it was, Tom, and right away Aquilani starts to open it up a little bit. That Subaru doesn't need to look healthy.
It's a forced induction car, and there are very few in the championship right now. It was all started with that Dodge SRT4 that Rob Holland drove last year. Now this is another turbocharged car, and you can see it's got great straight line speed, but Peter Cunningham is not letting him go in the corners.
Oh, and a black flag being displayed right there again for Espenlaub, whose day goes from bad to worse. He's been in and out of the pits and now is being told he's got to stop in the pit, so serious problems there. About as opposite a story, though, as you can imagine for Seth Thomas and his Pirelli World Gear Wrench BMW. Tell you, is he on his way? I don't want to jinx the guy, but if anybody has worked hard and deserves a win, it is Seth Thomas, and he's got it right now. But again, Kleinubing will be relentless. That's one thing we know. Then Saney, and then here is the battle for fourth, and Nick Essayan right now hangs on, having a very, very solid run, and right behind him is Foss. What a showing by this young rookie, Tom.
Nobody expected him to come in here and do this well, but then again, nobody expected Aquilante to come in here and get that great a start either. So this is young guns doing it very, very well. There we go. Down the inside of Nick Essayan. Eric Foss moves up one more spot.
Boy, Essayan just looked like he ran just a little bit wide, and a beautiful move by Foss. And as you pointed out, winning the MX-5 Cup, you know close quarters racing. All of those cars identical, and you've got to get in there and be willing to scrap and grind and bump and do whatever you have to as Espenlaub makes his forced call down into the pits. Frustrating day for Espenlaub, but that's one of the strengths of a multi-car team. While he's struggling, a couple other cars are doing well. And another three-car team in the program is the Pirelli World Gear Wrench entry, and they are looking to refine their program just a little bit. A little bit earlier in the weekend, we had a chat with team principal James Clay.
As drivers coming into this race, we're looking for consistency. We're looking to make smart moves. We want to be here at the checkered flag every single car, every time. Being a team is absolutely critical when you're on the track out here. To have drafting partners, to know that you've got somebody covering your back door if you're making a move. To have that cooperation on track, it's just critical. Seth Thomas is a good friend, good teammate. Sometimes we fight a little bit like brothers.
I think the combination, though, of James Clay, Seth Thomas, and you throw in Nick Essayan into the blend has produced a very strong team. And remember, James Clay had a big win at Road America last year, and Seth Thomas has been close before, and maybe this is the day that he brings home another win for the team. But once again, there is Pierre Kleinubing, and Tom, he has closed up noticeably once again. Kleinubing mounting one of his classic charges. And speaking of moving up, Aquilani is flying in the Subaru.
You know, it's bad enough that you have to try to get around Peter Cunningham. Now you come up to Michael Galati. It's not going to be any easier to get around Michael Galati, but he's clearly got a faster car. Does Michael Galati respond to that? No. He's going to make it as tough as he can for this young Andrew Aquilani to get by.
Meanwhile, as we're closing in on the finish, Seth Thomas, is he on his way to his first win? We'll find out. Don't go away. 2 laps remain in the opening round of the 2009 Speed World Challenge Touring Car Championship presented by Toyo Tires. And those tires are getting put to intense use by these two guys. Galati in the green and white Mazda from Tyndall, holding on in front of the Phoenix Performance Subaru of Andrew Aquilani. And Aquilani has made a great charge. Once that problem cleared, Tom, he has been absolutely flying.
He's making these moves on the back straight, now on the front straight, trying to move around behind Michael Galati, trying to phase him. Not going to be able to do that. Michael Galati is way too savvy for that. But by now, Michael knows that Andrew Aquilani's got a faster car. He's just going to make it as tough to get by him as he possibly can.
Well, you're just going to feint a little bit here, look a little bit there, just widen that Mazda up just a little bit and make it tough for Aquilani to get by. And that's one of the things that when you win 5 championships, says Aquilani trying to stay with him, runs wide exiting turn 5. And that's not a good thing because that's such a key run down into the hairpin for a passing zone. And that's going to cost him a little bit of that key momentum. And Seth Thomas, speaking of momentum, for Seth Thomas, 1 lap to go, and you just know that he and that team right now are on pins and needles. He's got to survive 1 more lap, and the problem for him is the guy who's in chase mode is one of the most experienced drivers, 4-time champ Pierre Kleinubing. 1 bobble by Seth. Pierre will be there, but tell you what, that BMW looks awfully good, Tom.
You know, you can see that Pierre Kleinubing is visibly trying to wring everything he's got into that car, and Seth Thomas trying to match the pace. But both of these guys have been clear of traffic all day. The Toyo tires still under both of them, so they've got enough tire left under this car to be able to turn up the wick like this. As Seth Thomas comes through that picturesque turn by the airport, he's halfway home, Greg Kramer.
He is now out of Jean de Bien Ben, one of the key corners. Look at that. He knows he's got some room. He's being very careful even with the curves. There's Kleinubing and there's Saney. And here we go back to that battle between Grahovic and Courtney. Courtney hanging on at the front. Both of these guys working each other over pretty good. First real experiences in these types of cars for both of them. And for Thomas now out of Sunset Bend. Last time toward the wall where the crew is in the checker fly. Seth Thomas has done it. He has earned his first win in Speed World Challenge competition. A huge moment. Kleinubing and Saney complete the podium. Let's get down to Victory Circle.
Well, you know, it was one of those deals. I didn't quite know exactly what was going to happen, at the start. Pierre, he gets some good starts sometimes, and, my goal is just to go out there, get that start, go out there, lead the race, set my pace, and win it for the Pirelli World guys, for the gear wrench guys, the PFC brake guys, everybody. It was my duty to do that today.
All right, and now it's time for us to get right to the GT portion of the program and show you the starting lineup. Dino Crescentini, his first ever career pole, but he's got some awfully fast people around him, and a newcomer, Tony Rivera, who made a big splash with a 3rd place starting spot. And a gentleman we also want to mention at the very back of the pack, 05 champ Andy Pilgrim. This year running the Volvo, it's sort of a test session for them, so keep an eye on them as the season unfolds. But we are green as this season gets underway. Dino Crescentini, a great launch. That engine right over those drive wheels of the Porsches. Boy, did he put that to great use. Tony Rivera slots into 2nd in the Porsche. That is Brandon Davis alongside Eric Kern. Kabinski wide, and he loses it. Spins, and boy, did he get away with one as we hop on board with Tony Gaples. That was a lucky moment for Kabinski, Tom.
Brian Kabinski has been a pole sitter in World Challenge GT before. Very fast driver, but just lost it, a little bit enthusiastic getting out in the marbles there. And the lucky thing is he didn't hit anything.
And we go back to the battle up front, and you can see Kern was able to sneak back around that beautiful Sun Microsystems ACS Mustang of Brandon Davis. And Kern in the Whelen Engineering Corvette slots into 3rd, Davis into 4th. And I think a great showing here by somebody who's been very impressive, especially the latter half of last year, Tim McKenzie in that black Porsche right up in the mix as well. Very close action at the front, and a beautiful move. Kern down into turn number 10 and ducked underneath, picks up 2nd spot from Rivera.
Tony Rivera has been very impressive through the 2 practice sessions and the qualifying session, doing a lot of Porsche Cup racing up to this point. Nobody thought he'd come into World Challenge and do this well, this fast, but there you have it, Tony Rivera.
Well, absolutely. Last year in the Patron GT3 Challenge in the Gold Cup category, he won 12 of 14 races. Pretty amazing stat, and you can see why he is very competitive here with numbers like that.
Picking up what you said about that Gold Cup race, you know, Porsche Cup racing has become almost pro, call it semi-pro. Another standout in that category has been Steve Valentinetti, and he came to race with the World Challenge guys for round number 1.
Since 2005, I've been running in the IMSA GT3 series, which is stock Porsche GT3 Cup cars, and always wanted to run with the Speed GT guys. However, we're about 70 to 100 horsepower less, and we weigh a little bit more and smaller tires. So the cars really haven't been competitive in the GT class. But now that they have a new class called the GT Shootout, our cars are very competitive, and it's going to be a great series. And I'm excited to get to run with the Speed guys. It's a good group.
And welcome back to Sebring for the opening round of the 2009 Speed World Challenge GT Championship presented by Toyo Tires. And a very solid field has turned out. And James Safronis, who had a great qualifying effort, had a bit of a problem off the line. And I don't know, Tom, reports are that he's not a healthy guy.
Yeah, he's got the flu, and his temperature just before he jumped in the race car was about 103 degrees. Now, Brian Kabinski, also with his problems, trying to figure out where this place goes exactly left and right so far.
Boy, the way that car's reacting, I almost wonder if there's not something wrong mechanically with it in the suspension or something. It just does not seem to be a happy car right now. Going back in the pack just a little bit, there's the silver Kleinschmidt Black Dog Corvette right in the thick of the battle. I think that is Mr. Courtney, the number 99 Kenda Viper, and right behind them is the number 35. That's Andrew Aquilani. Remember him from touring? Well, now he's in a ride that he is very familiar with, a big booming Chevrolet Corvette. That's what he won the 2007 T1 Runoffs Championship in SCCA, and he too gets by Courtney in the Kenda Viper. Gaples was able to sneak through, maybe rattled Courtney just a little bit, Tom.
Well, Jeff Courtney is a veteran of this championship in that Woodhouse Performance Viper, another veteran of the championship, working his way up, now working on the back of Sonny Whalen. James Sofranis in the Porsche, down into the passing zone at the old hairpin. Sofranis goes through. And Gunter Schaldak in the Viper now are going to take a run at Sonny Whalen.
Not quite able to get the job done there. Whelan recovered beautifully, and Rob Morgan, the number 47 Porsche, right in that mix as well. Good look there at the number 4 of Crescentini, continuing to lead up front. But Curran right there, 97 Rivera, the Taxmasters, Kelly Moss Porsche right there. What a great story he has been. Then there is the Mustang of Brandon Davis, the 66 Porsche of McKinsey, and Jason Daskalos staying right in the hunt once again. This battle is very strong.
So once again, lots of manufacturers up into the top 5, and Tony Rivera doing a fabulous job for the Kelly Moss racing team. This car prepared by Brass Monkey Racing. It's good to see Kelly Moss back in World Challenge. You know, it was 15 years ago this weekend that Kelly Moss took the first 2 spots on the podium with drivers Price Cobb and Mauro Baldi in a Porsche Turbo. Now that year, Kelly Moss won 8 out of 10 races with an awesome duo of drivers, and no doubt they have their plans to find their way to victory circle again sometime this year, maybe today if Tony Rivera has his way.
Well, he certainly is a great shoe, as we've talked about. Up front, Crescentini. Big development there for Global Motorsports Group, and the Stop Tech Porsche in particular is a good friend of his, Steve Ruiz, who is a chassis wizard. Came on board with that team last year. Oh, and big contact. That is Jason Daskalos and Tim McKenzie in the black Porsche, and that was a solid hit.
Jason Daskalos now, you see a little bit of steam coming from the radiator there. That could very well be terminal for the Viper.
And Curran continues his relentless attack on Crescentini. As I was saying, Ruiz came in and really did some great work on the setup on those Global Motorsports Group Porsches, and it's paid off. You see, with Crescentini's pole, with the win last year at New Jersey by team owner Safronis, and now Curran, a very strong drive, not close enough down into turn 17, but those top 4, the proverbial blanket covers them all. Look at the different lines once again. You see Crescentini running it a little bit wider, and Curran keeping it tight to the inside, and boy, did it pay off. He got a huge drive out of 17. Now, does he make it stick? He does.
You know, he feels like maybe Sebring owes him one. He's got a win here, and he crashed out in the rain here just last year. Now he's at the front again, so he and that whole Whelan engineering team from Marsh Racing thinking that they can make it 2 out of 3.
Well, he certainly has had success. That year he won here at Sebring, I think he had 4 wins that season alone, and then last year had 6 DNFs. I mean, more than anybody else by a big chunk. Very frustrating year, and they've really refocused their efforts. It's a fairly new car. They've really worked on making sure that that car is reliable, and he too has focused his program. Oh, what a move down the inside. Rivera tried it. Got the door slammed on him by a pretty savvy Dino Crescentini, and now Brandon Davis comes up along the outside. This is up into turn 10, but Davis the wrong side of the track, and Brandon, a pretty savvy young driver, tucks right back in, realizes better to save it and fight maybe a little bit later on. But as I said, Kern ran 26 races in different series last year, and he said, I want the championship in Speed World Challenge GT. That's my focus this year. And boy, that little bit of side-by-side time has given Kern a break.
It's all a change in momentum. Just a little lift from Rivera, and Brandon Davis was able to get onside. And now side-by-side, 2 Porsches going in to the back of the course.
Oh, and an outside move by Rivera. That was a thing of beauty, and that's called entry speed with a little bit more of an open angle into the corner, and he made it pay. And speaking of paying, Daskalos paying right now for that contact as he's got to stop in the pits, that damaged race car. And it looks as if either Crescentini's just been a little bit rattled, or maybe something's gone a little bit off on that car as now Davis just drives around the outside of him as well.
So it is a Corvette leading a Porsche leading a Mustang, and Dino Crescentini falling back on the straightaway. But who'd have thought a Porsche could ever lead here? Dino Crescentini gets the best lap in qualifying, and Porsches have been strong here. You'd think, Greg, that a horsepower car would be the one to bring to Sebring.
Well, it's exactly one of those leading right now in the hands of Eric Kern. The big Corvette from Wheelan is out front. Rivera, Davis, Crescentini, and Safronis a charge through the pack up into the top 5. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sebring, and the battling continues here back in the pack just a little bit. Good story there. The number 44 of Lee Saunders, local driver out of Lakeland, Florida, has shown up once again at Sebring, and he's got some experience in these Vipers.
Joey Scarello chasing him in that Z6 Pontiac GTO. And then in behind then, Brian Kubinski trying to work his way back up. A great battle between a Viper, a GTO, and a Chevrolet Corvette.
Kubinski swinging to the outside. This is through turn 6, which is a very fast, pretty much flat-out right-hand kink down into the hairpin, and he's got a nose ahead. We'll see if Scarello is able to get back underneath. Couldn't do it, but Kubinski back end steps out once again. I really think, Tom, that car is not a happy package right now.
I'm beginning to think you're right, but he's doing the very best he can with the package that he has, and that's really a testimony to what a great driver Brian Kubinski really is.
And there's a 4th car, really, that's all part of this great battle. The 05 Bill Ziegler, a rookie. He's the 3rd of the Global Motorsports Group cars. This is the Swisher Racing entry, and he is right behind Scarello right now. There's a good look at Bill. Great to have him on board, a true rookie in the championship, and going for Rookie of the Year. Look forward to having him around for the full season.
So that quartet running around the back of the pack right now, but none less competitive. That's one of the great things about World Challenge, that you find racing everywhere, and it's one of the things the fans love most about this particular category.
Speaking of some of that great racing, you see Aquilani there in the Corvette, but he just got passed by the number 13, ducked right underneath Dave Welch, who's a rookie running for Woodhouse Motorsports in the Viper, and he's acquitting himself rather well.
Now, Dave Welch has come to this championship with a great package. I mean, Bob Woodhouse and his crew have really sorted these Vipers out. He's done a fantastic job, and he's moving up in the pack.
And speaking of Vipers, a very exciting program back in the paddock is that of 08 Rookie of the Year. Lala Motorsports and the family tells us about it.
We started Lala Motorsports when our daughter, Lala here, got leukemia when she was 1.5 years old.
This year, team's a whole different level. I mean, I realized last year that you need an incredible team to actually even have the opportunity to get to the front. And this year, I'm learning things that I didn't even have any clue about. So this year should be a great, great, great year.
Papa gets to the top 5, I get Shirley Temple.
We'll talk about motivation.
Absolutely right, Greg. There's nothing like a nice Shirley Temple at the end of the day. Here's another battle shaping up. Brian Kubinski marching his way back up to the front, this time working on Lee Saunders in the Viper.
And this has been sort of a constant today for Kubinski. Again, look at that car. It's just moving, it's darting. There is something not at all right with that car, and every time he does get a few laps put together, then it just sort of steps out on him, has a moment, he's got to come right back up through the pack. So he's got a long day ahead of him yet. Now Kern after that great pass, finds himself out front, but Rivera right there in second spot, and just an impressive drive by this racer. And Kern, you know the motivations there, as you said, Tom, won it here in 07, but in rainy conditions, now trying to do it in the dry, and Kabinski makes the pass and sneaks around Saunders as he continues to try and salvage something from what has already been a pretty rough day for a very talented and quick driver. Speaking of talented and quick, look at Rivera. He is closing up and starting to really heap some pressure on Curran.
Just proves what a great team can do, Greg. You know, working with Kelly Moss Racing, Price Cobb, he was a Porsche Cup winner 15 years ago, first American to do that, and now he's become sort of a racing legend in these circles. He's now the team manager, his wife Carissa is the logistics manager, and all of that weight, including Jeff Stone, the crew chief, behind Tony Rivera in that number 97 Brass Monkey car.
Oh, and some bad news. Rich Marzial in the all-cut concrete cutting Muzzy Racing entry has parked it. Problems for that Viper. Meanwhile, back to this battle, watching the rookie Welch under attack from another rookie, Aquilani, and got the door slammed there. But Andrew Aquilani is relentless. As I said, watched him race for a number of years in SCCA national level competition. The guy is remarkable. I mean, divisional championships, runoffs championships, multiple poles, and a very quick driver. And you know one thing about that car, and we have a full course caution, as Marzial's car clearly not in a safe location. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to Sebring. And we bring you back to Sebring with a brand new development in Speed World Challenge side-by-side restarts. First time ever, and we've got them 5, 6 abreast heading down into turn 1. And Rivera, as Kern went to protect, Rivera looked like he got a great drive around the outside. The question is, does Kern have the inside line down into turn 3? He does, but Rivera stays put, still side-by-side. Kabinski crossed up again. A miraculous save as they head out. And oh, we've got 1, 2, we got 3 cars into the wall, one of them Crescentini.
You know, it's just been a bad day for Dino Crescentini. It went from bad to worse as Rivera able to consolidate his lead into the old hairpin. There's nothing Eric Curran can do but start work again. Look who's right there in the back door. James Safranis, followed by the Mustang of Brandon Davis.
Boy, bits and pieces flying off some of the cars. Oh, a huge shunt. Andrew Aquilani really hard into the back, I think, of number 13. Welsh, indeed, and some pretty significant damage to Welsh's car. Aquilani actually drops back a spot as a result of that contact, but Rivera outside through 3, 4, and 5 and makes it stick. This kid's for real.
You know, the World Challenge guys spent all winter trying to come up with ways to make the championship even better. This double file restart certainly effective. Some great racing coming out of that full course yellow.
Rivera continues now in the lead. Not only that, he's stretching it just a little bit over Kern, then Safronis, then Davis. So Safronis has been a great story, as has Tony Gaples in that Kleinschmidt Black Dog, that silver vet, a great day as well. Then here comes Welsh, and you know, Top Fuel Dragsters would like a chute that's that effective on the back, and that obviously is going to hurt on a track that's got these kind of long straights, Tom.
But it doesn't seem to be doing any tire rub, and David Welsh drives right by pit in. He's going to see if he can go one more lap in that thing, see how it works out.
Saw Brandon Davis just show the nose a little bit, and meanwhile, Gunter Schaldock, who we had that great report with, problems for him as well. He was one of the 3 cars who had that off, and he's got damage underneath on the rear under tray. And that's certainly not going to help things, especially in the high-speed corners. And then take a look just a few cars back. Here comes Aquilani. You can see the damage to his car. And, oh, Brian Kabinski loses it, gets into the back of Sonny Whelan, takes both of them out, which seems like a great time to segue to Sonny Whelan earlier telling us a bit about his company and his team.
History of the company?
Yeah, it's been producing safety lighting equipment and sirens for about 50 years. My mom and dad started the business about the time I was born, and it's been growing steadily since then. Working with Eric has been a dream come true. We're able to share data quite a bit, and you know, Eric's a great instructor, a great driver, a great person, so I mean, working with him has been terrific, and it really does help me get faster. I can look at his data, and we can figure out where I'm faster, where he's faster, and kind of mix and match a little bit and help us both out.
Well, and we see Dino Crescentini has pulled into the pits, that damage apparently terminal. But one thing about Sonny Whelan in that program, they used to be pretty serious in NASCAR, and they took a look at Speed World Challenge competition and said, oh, no, this is where we need to be. Says a lot about Speed World Challenge, and certainly about Sonny Whelan when he brought in a guy like Kern, who is so quick.
And not to mention Marsh Racing. You know, those guys so effective in what they did in Nationwide Racing and in Busch North Racing, taking that technology and bringing it back to World Challenge.
Oh, Tom, we had a bit of a hit there, and it was Morgan trying to go around the outside of Joey Scarallo, and the two of them just got together, both going for the same piece of real estate. And it was Morgan who really paid the price, and Scarallo able to continue. And as we go back up toward the front, watching this battle, there is Tony Rivera, there is Kern, who we've been talking about, Sofronis and Brandon Davis, and they've made a pretty clean break right now. Pretty good gap back to fifth spot right there in Tony Gaples and the rest of the pack. And Welsh, boy, I tell you, still dragging that big air brake. And boy, look who's right behind him again. They've had contact before, and this time Aquilani, boy, did he read that beautifully. Welch just floated out just a little bit, Aquilani underneath, and Sofronis loops it in third place, and Sofronis has looped it.
You know, not only did he loop it, but he very nearly got collected by a couple of different guys there. And there you see, he does it nearly again as he gets back on the road. He's thinking one thing, get back into this thing. But boy, that's, as they say in the airline business, is two near misses.
Well, it has no doubt been a very long day for a very sick James Sofronis. And still in all, a pretty impressive drive when you consider that. Take a look at Kern and Davis as they continue to battle, and it just doesn't look like Kern's got anything for Rivera. And you have to wonder, Tom, these cars run different weights, different horsepowers and the like. Wonder if it's tire man.
Well, it comes all down to tires at the end of the race. You know, this R888 tire from Toyo, great tire, but they're using it to the maximum of its ability. It only has to last 50 minutes, and it's in these last few minutes you start to notice who's got good tire management and who may not.
Well, it certainly appears this gentleman, Tony Rivera, as we hop on board, has done a pretty good job of managing tires, as he's got the field pretty well covered at this point, Tom. Boy, what a great drive.
You know, just a few years ago, he's running Mazda Miatas. Then he moves into the Porsche Cup, and now he's leading a World Challenge race. The last guy to do that was Wolf Hensler, a factory driver. So for Tony Rivera to be compared to Wolf Hensler, that is a very good drive.
A great drive, as a matter of fact. And now let's go back, take a look at this battle for second. Curran still hanging on as Brandon Davis continues to stay very close. Last lap, one to go here at Sebring for the 2009 Speed World Challenge GT Opener presented by those great Toyo tires. And Davis continues to just be right underneath that rear wing of Kern. Kern shallows up his exit just a little bit. I think maybe that may have been a more protective thing than anything else. He knows Davis is close.
Now, Brandon Davis has become a very mature driver. He sees an opportunity here, but he's also thinking about championship points, and it's not occurring to him at the moment. His team is certainly telling him that. If you can get a third, let's get a third. There are 9 more races in this series, and what we want to do is win the overall championship.
Meanwhile, the Taxmasters, Kelly Moss, Porsche of Rivera through the hairpin for the last time. Very quick run up through a quick right-left series of corners, then down into turn number 10. And there is Andy Pilgrim. And boy, I tell you, it's great to see him back racing. So many years with Caddy, came over to join the K-Pax 3R racing team, even though he and Sonny Whelan in a bit of a battle here. And you know, Tom, when this team gets this turbo all-wheel drive Volvo sorted out, it is going to be spectacular. But right now, all the spectacular adjectives go to Tony Rivera. A superb drive. Meanwhile, here we go out of the turn. Last time, and it looks like Kern has just enough. And he will end up with second. Davis, in fact, completes the podium, but Tony Rivera, a brilliant drive. And really, this team and Tony haven't done much wrong since they set foot on the tarmac here at Sebring, and James Sofronis completes a long but very eventful day. He's probably passed more cars than anybody else here today.
Yeah, he's done a fabulous job. You know, 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. When this whole World Challenge program was conceived all those years ago, that was the whole idea behind it. And the rules package obviously working well, Greg, because once again, we've got 3 different manufacturers and completely different cars when you think about it in the top 3.
Well, let's take a look at the unofficial final results. Rivera, Kern, Davis, the podium. Gaples, a great day. And Jeff Courtney quietly had himself a very effective run to 5th. Sofronis, with everything he did, passing a lot of cars twice today, ends up well into the top 10. Aquilani there as well. For a lot of drivers and for a lot of rookies, it has been a very good day.
You know, the champagne is going to taste very sweet, not only to this young man, Tony Rivera, but the entire Brass Monkey Racing team.
And as Rivera enjoying the spoils, he now climbs out of his car, and let's get down to Victory Circle.
This is Tony Rivera! Outstanding!
this is definitely a big surprise, and I couldn't have done it without Tax Masters as my lead sponsor, and AJ Brass, owner of Brass Monkey Racing, and of course everybody knows Kelly Moss from Porsche. So when you say we're newcomers, that might be budgeted just a little bit.
Well, they certainly didn't act like newcomers, and clearly the 2009 Speed World Challenge Championship is well underway. Our next show will feature racing from two different venues as the GT cars go to the streets of Long Beach and the touring cars go to New Jersey Motorsports Park. It should be a busy show. We certainly hope you join us. For Tom Natchew, I'm Greg Creamer, and until next time, take care, everybody.